Today we're unboxing American Girl of the Year 2022 Corinne Tan. I got her for a steal of a deal on AmericanGirl.com during their end of year sale, and I've had her for a few weeks now, so I am dying to finally get her out of the box so we can take her hair out of the net and decide once and for all if we actually like the blue or not. So grab a snack and let's talk about dolls. Alright, so those of you that know me know how much I absolutely love the Corinne Tan sculpt, and it was so exciting to get a new Asian sculpt added to the line as well because, you know, a lot of doll companies sometimes say like, alright, we have our one Asian character and this is what we're going to use for every single doll we make. So I think it was really great that we got a new sculpt for the Girl of the Year in 2022, and we don't always get new sculpts, so it was definitely an exciting year. Just quickly, I'll show you her book. I probably will read this at some point, but probably not anytime soon because my reading list is so long, and truthfully, I don't really want to be re-traumatized with COVID, so I'm probably going to shelve this for a while. But the doll herself is absolutely stunning. I have been admiring her from afar for so long because I just think that they did an absolute slam dunk with this sculpt, so I am so excited to finally have the first of two in my collection finally. So we can see here, we're already off to a good start. Her face looks very symmetrical, and I don't see any weird printing with her eyelashes or anything. So we'll get into some of the details about her face in a minute, but I just always love kind of taking one last look of them when they're still in the box because this is the most pristine she will ever look. And even though I really try and take care of my dolls and keep them as pristine and factory new as possible, you know, they just end up getting dust on them, and if you change them, their hair gets a little bit messed up. So I just wanted to take one final look at her before taking her out. But yeah, I am super duper excited to finally have her in my collection. And truth be told, I actually was never planning on purchasing any of the Girl of the Year dolls just because it's such a big collection to have, right? Like they basically did one for every year since the year 2000. So I already have a really, really large Pleasant Company collection. It's probably somewhere around 50 dolls, which to some of you is not that many dolls, and to some of you it's like, holy shit, this guy has a lot of dolls. So I just really was not super keen on getting a lot of the modern dolls to begin with when I first started collecting, because I started collecting for nostalgic reasons. You know, I was a child that was not allowed to have dolls, and once I finally turned like 36 years old, I was like, wait a minute, I could totally buy dolls. So, you know, I've just been having a lot of fun over the last few years, really just kind of diving in and living the experiences that I wasn't allowed to have the first time around. So yeah, it's sort of a rebirth in a way, but yeah, all that's to say is when I first started, I really just thought I would be collecting the dolls that I remembered from my childhood. So we're talking Molly, Samantha, Kirsten, Felicity, and Addie. Those were the only American Girl dolls that I ever knew existed until 2021. So, you know, I checked out of dolls when I was, you know, in 1993, when I was, I guess, roughly like 9 years old. So there was a lot that I missed out on. So I had a lot to catch up on. So that was really the primary focus of my collection, was basically collecting everything from the catalogs that I remembered reading in the very early 90s. Let's leave the 80s out of this. I feel like it's going to make me sound older than I am. And please, like, I feel like I'm ancient compared to everybody else doing American Girl content on YouTube, so let's just say it was the 90s. But yeah, I had just spent so many years basically recently trying to catch up on lost time for all the stuff that I really wanted, so I really just wasn't thinking about American Girl as far as like a modern brand. Like, I paid attention to it, I liked seeing the things that were coming out, it was exciting, but I never really thought I would get into it just because I was like, I'm already spending like literally thousands of dollars on a Pleasant Company collection. Why would I try and double everything for a bunch of shit that I never even knew existed until recently? But turns out I have a shopping addiction, so I guess now that I'm sort of running out of things to buy for Pleasant Company, I'm diving into the like world of modern American Girl stuff. So yeah, while buying an American Girl of the Year was never really on my radar, I feel like I kind of sent that notion to hell when American Girl did their end of year sale this year. I mean, Corinne Tan, I think they put her on discount in the beginning, and I really didn't think much about it. And then apparently they have a lot of extra socks. So like a few days or maybe a week into the sale, they lowered the price on her again, and she ended up being somewhere around $65, which is such a good deal for an American Girl doll. So as soon as they lowered the price on her, I decided to just go ahead and get her. Because now I'm kind of thinking it would be fun to have an American Girl of the Year collection for every year that I've been collecting. So it'll be a little bit of a challenge to maybe try and go find a pristine Kira Bailey, because I technically consider 2021 to be the first year of actually collecting. So if I could find a really good clean version of her, I would love to add her as well. But I think what I'm probably going to do is for the following ones after Corinne, like Covey, and who's after Covey? Oh yeah, Lila Minetti. I think I will eventually get those, but I might see if I can get them on sale again, because it's not a primary part of my collection. And really, I'm cheap when it comes down to it. I love a good deal and a bargain on dolls. So if I can maybe have like a shred of hope that I might get Covey and Lila for $65 each, I'm willing to wait a couple years if I need to do that. So yeah, we'll see what ultimately ends up happening. I could end up selling Corinne 6 months from now because I'm just like totally overwhelmed by the amount of dolls I have, but I really couldn't pass up the opportunity to get her for such a great deal. And again, she is probably my favorite Girl of the Year that they've ever made. I think she is so beautiful, and I love the color palette of her collection. It's all those like blues and seafoam green and a little bit of pink. It's very wintry, but also very 80s, and I just really, really love that color palette. Like, you can't tell me her ski jacket doesn't look like something out of the Golden Girls. All right, I finally got her limbs loosened from the box, and I think it's finally time to do my actual favorite part. I think even more so than taking the hairnet off, I really love taking the neck strap off, because it always does that little pop and you can finally take the doll out. So let's go ahead and give it a go. There it is. All right, and I feel like for the first time in a really long time, I was actually able to take a doll out of the box without getting her hair snagged on the neck brace. So everybody take a moment to give me a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate all of your support during this difficult time. So let me go ahead and pop the protective layers off of her hands and ankles so we can get a truly good look at her, and then we'll go ahead and get the hairnet off. All right, and in the interest of trying to experiment with how I want to set this channel up so I can potentially have a chair and a table, I have realized I don't have a really good vantage point to get her super close to the camera. Let me see how close I can get her. That's a little close, right? But I'm gonna try and see if I can get her hairnet off during all of this. So if you are sewing, doing homework, whatever you're doing, if you want to see the hairnet come off, now is the time to look up at the screen. So here we go, off comes the hairnet. All right, that was a terrible vantage point. I'm sorry. Again, we're learning, we're experimenting. I want this channel to be as good as it possibly can, and sometimes you just kind of have to catch a boot sometimes when you're experimenting with a shot. So anyway, she looks great. I absolutely love this doll. I will say her wig is not as thick as I would have expected. Now, I do know she has a couple of braids up here, which have probably kind of taken some of the volume out of it, but definitely if you're not that into the blue hair, this is probably not the doll for you, at least as far as mine is considered. I don't see, like, I swear she has just as much blue hair as black hair, if not more. So you definitely really want to love the blue, which I do actually. That's one of the reasons I wanted to get her, because as I've mentioned before, I have so many historical dolls just from collecting the original Pleasant Company range that, you know, I don't need another like light skin classic mold with brunette hair. I have enough. So to me, it's like really exciting to actually get a doll with electric blue hair. And this is my favorite shade of blue as well. It's like, it's sort of like almost like an electric Caribbean blue. It's really, really pretty. So I'm not going to be doing anything to try and hide it, but I have to say, if I was interested in trying to make it look like she only had black hair, I do think it would be very difficult. But that said, I really love this hairstyle, and I probably am going to keep it in at least for a good while, because I really want to give it a good long think before taking her like meat braids out. And I know it wouldn't be as egregious as like taking Molly or Kirsten's braids out from like a white body doll, but still there's something about having like a factory perfect doll. So I need to think about it before taking her braids out. And again, I just really like this hairstyle too, so I don't really see any reason to change it. I will say it is a little asymmetrical. Again, they've kind of given her a side part here, and that can always kind of create some difficulty when doing symmetrical hairstyles because you can't really move the part. It's like permanently pressed in here. So you can see here, like she's got the braid, like it starts like right above her ear, whereas on this side, she kind of has this bit of hair that sort of hangs down that, you know, can kind of cover this ear. So it's definitely not a perfectly symmetrical hairstyle, but I have a feeling it'll grow on me. I don't necessarily need everything to be perfectly balanced all the time. And yeah, I think that's pretty cute actually. This is sort of a dumb nitpick, but I feel like they could have done something a little bit different for the hair tie in her hair. This is basically just a clear hair elastic, which we've all used a million times, but to me that's a little bit unfinished, right? Like I feel like it should at least be a color. Like this would have been so cute in like a lavender color. But the clear elastic to me is something you do when you're going to tie a ribbon or put a scrunchie or something else over it. I feel like this shouldn't be seen as a finished look. But again, it's just a dumb nitpick. I generally don't see the backs of my dolls' heads because I typically just put them on display and don't do much with them after that. So for me, it's not a big deal, but it's just one of those like nitpicky little details. But as far as her face goes, this is one of my favorite sculpts in their entire line. I can't say enough good words about it. If you didn't know by now, I mean, she's been out for a couple of years, is that her eyes, I believe, are actually larger than your typical American Girl doll eye. I don't know by how much, but I have heard from people that have tried to eye swap her that her eyes aren't compatible with other dolls. So you couldn't take like Molly's eyes out and put them in Corinne to give her gray eyes. You would have to take Corinne's eyes out and pull the paint out and repaint them, which is probably extremely difficult to do in these newer dolls because I feel like American Girl was doing, like they have just must have done thousands and thousands of free eye swaps because of Silver Eye. So I bet you it's really hard to get eye paint out now because they're not looking to do like free eye swaps anymore. But yeah, her eyes are larger than the average American Girl doll, which is unfortunate in terms of like wanting to do customizations and eye swaps, but I really actually love the large eyes on this doll. I think it kind of gives her a little bit more of like a stylized look. And truthfully, when this doll came out, I thought American Girl was actually going to start making the eyes bigger on all of their sculpts moving forward. I don't know if this was an experiment or just something that they wanted to do for this particular sculpt, but you know, I honestly wouldn't have a problem with it because I know that they're trying to compete with more modern doll lines. And if you think about dolls like Rainbow High, LOL, all of those brands have really, really large eyes comparatively like to actual humans proportions. So I was thinking they were actually looking to try and sort of like quote unquote dollify their dolls by giving them bigger eyes. And I actually think it looks great. I would not be that upset if they did that. But based on us having seen some new sculpts since this doll, I think that's probably not going to be the case. I think it might just be a one-off for this doll and possibly some other dolls in the future. But I have to say, that's one of my favorite features about her is that she has these really beautiful big eyes. Another thing that's been a really big point of contention amongst at least American Girl adult collectors is the painted on eyelashes. And I feel like this is one of the earliest dolls they did it with. I don't know if she was the first, but she was definitely one of the first. And so it's brought this whole new controversy in of like, do we like the painted eyelashes? Do we hate them? Is this very American Girl of them? But, you know, I have to say, after all of these years, it's still not my favorite, right? Now, this is the one specific particular doll that I think that it actually looks pretty good on. And I have to say, it's mainly because they only did it on her upper lashes. You'll notice she doesn't have painted on lashes on the bottoms of her eyes. And I wish they had just done it this way, like from here on out with all the new Truly Me dolls, Claudie, all of the dolls that came after her. They started adding a lot of extra lashes, which we might get into in a minute, but I actually think this is the best version of them that they've ever done because the upper lashes are sort of more of a solid shape. They're not as like spider leggy, and they kind of like, at least from a distance, when you look at her like from far away, you can't really tell that she has two different types of eyelashes because it all sort of blends in together. And again, like I think it just makes a little bit more of a cohesive look and it doesn't look as random. So I feel like this is the one time I like truly forgive American Girl for going on this like crazy tangent of painting on lashes. I get why they're doing it, but I just feel like there are better ways of doing it. And I do think to look at Corinne, you can kind of see how it would look really great if they could figure out how to take the eyelashes that are attached to her eyeballs that are actually made with real plastic, like doll hair, and figuring out a way to flare them out so they kind of give them more of that. It's not like a cat eye look, but you know what I mean, where they kind of flare outwards. I really hope someday they're able to figure that out so we don't have to have painted eyelashes forever. But again, all that's to say is Corinne is, I think, the best looking doll as far as the painted lashes go. Another thing that I really love about Corinne is her facial coloring, particularly her lip color. Now, a lot of times you'll see like more of a bold, like maybe pinkier, more reddish kind of lip on dolls, but this color here is like a really soft, almost kind of like coral pink, and it looks super natural, and it keeps her face looking really soft, which I really, really love. And again, it looks really great with these colors, this sort of like pastel-y neon aqua Caribbean blue that they put in her hair. I think that color looks really, really good with more of a pinky, like pastel kind of lip. I don't know. I just think the color palette on this doll is really great. One other little nitpick I have about this doll is her meat outfit. And I have to say, like, I really love it overall. I think it's really great. I think it would appeal to children. I think it's a nice restrained color palette. But the quality of the sweater, you know, I have to agree with everybody else that I've seen review this doll. They just didn't do a great job picking materials for this. And again, I feel like it's something that could have been avoided for not much extra money, if any extra money at all. And I feel like it's something that probably could have been addressed without really increasing the cost of the doll that much. It really would just come down to, I feel like, picking just a thicker yarn to do the knitting on this. But as you can see, like even from a distance, you can really see her skin tone coming through the sheerness of the knit of this. Again, I just, you know, if she had like a white tank top or something to go underneath this, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal. But to me, that's a quality issue, right? And this doll originally retailed for $115. And to me, that's just not a detail I feel like should have been skipped over. You know, this is the main piece in her meat outfit, and it's totally sheer when I don't feel like it should be or was intended to be in the first place. The cut and the shape of it is really good. I think it really complements the rest of the outfit. It's really just, again, if it was just a little bit thicker, I think it would have been perfect. I really love the leggings that they gave her. I love this sort of lavender color with this sparkly, it's almost like a reptile kind of finish. It's like a bunch of little dots on it, but it kind of reminds me of reptile skin. You know, if you had like an iguana that had purple skin and holographic scales. But again, really, really pretty. And I think these will go with a lot of different outfits, especially if you have Corinne, because I feel like they did a really good job of staying sort of within the same color palette with all of these cool colors like the lavenders, lilacs, seafoams, all the colors we mentioned before. I think that this is a really great staple piece for her collection, but honestly, I feel like Courtney is going to be wearing these before long because, hello, these could look so 80s, right? And again, really, really great quality shoes. We have hard soles, we have multiple different materials on them, this strappy lacing thing, they attach with Velcro. These are really, really high quality shoes, and I don't know, again, when we talk about a disconnect in quality, this doesn't feel like great quality, this sweater, but this pair of shoes is so, so good. I cannot get over all of the details that went into making these. Again, I still struggle to fathom how they do stuff like this on a large scale because, you know, they're presumably making tens of thousands of this doll. And I just think of all of the people that have to sit, behind a sewing machine to make this stuff happen. This is a lot of work that goes into this type of doll shoe. And I really, really appreciate the extra layer of detail because this will be a great staple pair of shoes in my winter collection for the dolls. Again, just really, really, really high quality and attention to detail. So like I said, we will not be taking her hair out of the braids today because, you know, all in all, I think it looks really good. I love this simple hairstyle and she probably will live in it forever. And you know, despite getting a slammin' deal on a doll, again, I paid, I think, $65 for her, brand new from American Girl with free shipping. So that was a great deal, but still, I feel like I really like to keep my dolls as pristine as possible. So yeah, she'll probably live in this hairstyle forever, but maybe we might find her a little hair tie or something to kind of cover up this plastic piece. One thing I will say is she's not shedding very much, and most of her hair is down, and I'm just not seeing a lot of hair falling out. And I know some of the original colored wigs were having some shedding issues. This is definitely not one of them. Again, I think that her hair is actually pretty good quality, other than the fact that I feel like I wish there was maybe like 20% more hair. It just feels a little bit thin to me. But again, I have to say, I really, really love this pop of blue in here. I think she's going to be really fun to dress as I get things in my collection as far as, you know, outfits with some neon colors. And I don't know, I just think that this will be a really fun color to play off of because it's one of my favorite colors. And realistically, I think I could put her in with Courtney's collection as well. Again, I think she would look totally cute as an 80s doll with this, like, you know, Jim and the Holograms, or Barbie and the Rockers kind of hair color. So I'm really looking forward to having some fun getting this doll redressed. While I have your attention, now would be a wonderful time for me to tell you about my Patreon community that I have over at patreon.com/idreamofjohnny. I have a weekly podcast that I do every single week called Doll Diaries, where I talk about all the news and gossip in the American Girl world, and I open all the mail that I got each week. It's a lot longer of a format. We typically talk for about an hour each week, sometimes 45 minutes, but it's typically a lot longer content. Generally, I'll go from 45 minutes to an hour every single week, so if you like hearing me ramble on about dolls, you might really enjoy it. It's only $3 a month, and it goes a really, really long way to support my channel so I can continue making doll videos full time. Also, another really great way to support my channel is shopping in my brand new shop at idreamofjohnny.com. There's a ton of merch there inspired by American Girl that a lot of you I think would really love. We have some things inspired by the original Pleasant Company collection, and it's just really fun if you're a big fan of American Girl and this channel. And again, it's just a super great way to help support my channel so I can keep doing this. And be sure you subscribe to this channel because the YouTube algorithm is a crazy place, and they may just decide one day that they don't want to recommend my videos to you. So if you want to remember who I am and keep seeing my beautiful face on your feed, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Also, leaving a like and a comment really helps my videos reach more people, and it means the world to me. I read every single comment that comes through, even the mean ones. For even more doll content, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at idreamofjohnny. That's it for today's video, but I have a ton more videos on YouTube if you want to watch one of these. Say bye, Corinne.
Bye, Corinne.
That was so stupid.